Weddings have changed. They are certainly different now. So we're talking about the new way to wed. What you need to know, what you can do, some DIY tips, some of the benefits, and how to make your wedding safe. And I'm bringing in some experts in their fields to help provide you with even more wedding planning tips and advice when it comes to virtual weddings, micro weddings, hybrid weddings, and COVID weddings. Today we're talking with Caroline and Natasha from Giggle and Riot. Hi there, I'm Jamie Chang, your destination wedding planning guru and designer of joy at Mangome's Events, the creator of Passport to Joy, the step-by-step online wedding planning course for couples, and the founder of Let's I Do This, intimate and virtual weddings in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I share real and honest and useful wedding planning tips, tricks, and advice you can use to help make planning your wedding easy and joyful so you can create a wedding you love. Because let's face it, wedding planning isn't always very happy. In fact, it can be downright painful, and nobody wants that. So we're bringing the joy back to wedding planning. Are you ready? Let's do this. Now, today we are having a super fun conversation with Caroline and Natasha from Giggle and Riot Photobooths. Giggle and Riot Photobooths are experts at creating a fun, tailored experience for your event. Their obsession is creating uniquely custom fun booth installations. Locally designed and handmade in Northern California, their modern and professional quality fun booths offer aesthetically curated backdrops and props, the newest technology, professional staff, top-notch customer service, and all the love from the bottom of their hearts. Let's dive in. Welcome, Natasha. Welcome, Caroline from Giggle and Riot. Super excited to have you guys here and chat with you about all things weddings and photo booths and fun stuff.
Let's do it.
So I like starting off with something that's a little fun and about you guys so people can learn a little bit about you too. So here's a question that I think, given where we are and the life we're all living right now, I think is interesting. So what has been sort of the best part and maybe the worst part about life in COVID for you guys?
Okay. One of the best parts for me is I got really reconnected with my space and what I want in my living space. Mm-hmm. I know early on it was like plant heavy and it was a lot of replanting, and I kind of got that break that I really needed. So I've been feeling very fortunate about that as it's gone on, that I got to do that. I mean, it's a bittersweet thing for sure.
Yeah.
For me, I think one of my best things out of COVID is really reprioritizing my relationship with Josh. Mm-hmm. Not that it was bad before, but kind of like really looking in and seeing how we can function as a team during a pandemic when it's really stressful, and making our relationship and improving our communication. Like, to me, that's been pretty awesome.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, I think relationships are always important, right? But I think COVID has made us all sort of focus more on that too.
How you can function through the pandemic better as a person and just with any other person around you, I think is something definitely worthwhile working on right now.
Yeah. Cool. Worst part?
Well, I miss sitting down and going to dinner like inside.
Yep.
Preferably a place with like expensive cocktails, tea candles on the table,
dressing up a little bit.
Yeah. And we're based in Sacramento, so there's been outdoor dining, but it's still 100 degrees.
Yes.
It's pretty hot.
That's like the same thing, right?
But that's been my thing. I used to work in the restaurant industry, so not having that it's hit me harder than it hits some other people, I think.
Yeah. I get that. I miss that too, a lot.
I think a lot of us miss it. For me, I used to be able to fly home to Indonesia.
Yeah.
4 months or so to visit my family, take care of my mom, and I can't do that. So that's just kind of the downer part. Yeah.
Sure, that's gotta be hard. I'm in sort of not quite as far, similar-ish boat though with my.
Oh yeah, you can't fly home to Hawaii as easily.
Yeah, I mean, I technically I could, but you know, I'm trying to be safe too and protect my parents who are older and all the things, right? But I get it, you know, you're far away, and what used to be easier, you know, is now not so easy.
Yeah, but just like on the flip side again, going back to then you work on your relationship in a different way. So maybe you WhatsApp or text more, you do more FaceTimes, and you become more intentional. So
Totally. And you just, for me, it's like you try and connect more in maybe not new ways for me, but just more frequently.
Yeah.
Than perhaps you used to be. I'm not the best, you know, call mom and dad person in the world. So I'm trying to be better about that too.
Yeah. Trying to be a good Asian daughter.
Yes. Okay. This other question was really more for, I guess it's for both of you, but really more, I guess, Caroline. I always wondered, you know, Giggle and Riot. Where did Giggle and Riot come from? And are you one of Giggle and Riot?
So we like to say, so Giggle and Riot started with me and Josh, who's not here right now because he's feeling under the weather, but Touchless, my current Josh. So we always say that I'm Giggle and Josh is Riot because it's better for marketing, but technically I am Riot if you know us, and he's the Giggler. But we just, when we started our photo booth company, we wanted a name that was slightly different, but also embodied fun, you know, so we always say, well, we got that name, we came up with that name in bed, but the real truth of the story was that we were in bed, but we were on our laptops working in bed and on thesaurus.com trying to like, okay, what's another word for laugh and another word for party? And so, you know, Giggle and Riot.
Nice, I like it. I always thought that perhaps like one of you was one and one of you was the other, but I was like, I'm going to ask the question because I've never asked the question. So fun, cool. Okay.
I think Josh likes the Riot in public, and he has it even like embroidered on the back of his suit collar, you know, or like on his cuffs. But then I'm always like, yeah, but I'm the real Riot.
Maybe you're both, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, we're talking about fun, which is a good segue here into photo booths, which are just all fun, really. And it's just, I always think it's just a fun way to be silly and let loose. But you know, with new weddings now, with weddings during COVID and all the various types of weddings that you can have now, what I think a lot of couples don't know is what some new options are besides sort of what they imagine the normal photo booth experience to be like. So that's the question I have for you is what are the things people can have now if they still want that photo booth experience?
Yeah, I think there's a few different things. As we have gone through the pandemic, we've kind of, you know, innovated our current services and add new products to keep up with the times. And there's a couple things that we can do. One is still the photo booth physically being there, but we have a QR code start. So you'll generate a QR code on your phone, pull your phone up to your camera, and it actually starts the photo booth by itself. So you don't have to touch anything.
Awesome.
So people who are still having an in-person event, that would be a really good way to go. Then the second thing that is really exciting and really fun, what we're doing quite a bit of these days, is the virtual photo booth.
Mm-hmm. So the virtual photo booth is great because you can be anywhere and access it, especially for hybrid weddings where, say, half of the family is abroad or throughout the state or throughout the nation and they can't fly to be at your wedding.
Right.
You can still have a virtual photo booth, get all the pictures. They're still fun. Like when we try out our virtual photo booths, I still catch myself like giggling as if I were in a real photo booth.
Yeah.
And then it still has the custom frame, so it's not just like a regular selfie. It still has the design for the wedding and the date and the couple.
It does a boomerang too, if you want to do that. So it's a really great option. And then we started this new thing. It's called the Pickup Photobooths or Giggle Squad. And basically, you rent it for a day or a whole weekend. You here, you take it, you do it yourself, and then that way you keep your guest count smaller. You're still within your own pod. You are not there, you know, and it's still customizable and lots of great different options to meet your needs and also your budget.
That's cool. And in terms of that one, like how far are you sending that out into the world?
I mean, so we've always had reach to all the way down to Monterey, to Napa. We work heavily in San Francisco, so it's not unfamiliar for us to take it throughout the Bay Area. So it's something that we're kind of talking about ourselves. We would love to have people come pick it up, but if there's a demand for it in San Francisco, we would totally be open to that. So we're kind of like going with the flow and that.
So give us more demand, and then we'll like pick up locker in San Francisco, basically.
So people out there looking for a photo booth.
Yeah, we're gonna make this happen. We're putting it out in the universe, so
yes, out into the world. Okay, cool. I mean, I think there's a lot of things people don't just realize that they can do now, and all those are really fun, and I think most importantly, sort of safe sort of options. I want to talk a little bit more about the virtual. Is there anything that you find that maybe, you know, a couple might not realize as they're using the virtual photo booth, or like something they should keep in mind in the sense of like how best that works?
So, I mean, one thing that comes into my head is that you could take all your virtual booth photos and put it into a guest book that we would print up for you. So you'd still get all the pictures. We provide all of our clients with their pictures after the fact, but this is a great way to have it all in one special memory.
Like a virtual guest book.
Exactly. Another thing that it could be used for is if you have someone that could just go around and capture all the small details as if you're the photographer, but like the little things like cheersing or people, you know, like eating together, and just kind of diversifying the shots so that it's a little bit less selfie based. And I feel like that's one thing I would love to see couples have fun with.
And also just the fact that, you know, the virtual photo booth can extend beyond your actual wedding day. So you can start your virtual photo booth days ahead and build up the celebration, build up engagement. And let's say maybe the next day, you know, frequently you have a brunch. So instead of just having the brunch at home, we can have a brunch, a wedding brunch frame, and then you can celebrate that brunch. People around the world can be celebrating with you, right? So people can be tuning in, especially grandparents who can't travel or are at risk, they can do that. And then we can also customize your frames and make it fun. Like, let's say we can have a teen bride or a teen groom frame, and then you can how many people choose who has more friends. Or like celebrating from, let's say it's like a multi-city couple, like celebrating from Portland, celebrating from San Francisco, celebrating from outside of the world, or, you know, there's different ways you can definitely do that. We can even take your photo of the bride and groom, use it as a frame cutout, so it's sort of like they're taking pictures with the bride and groom. So there's different ways that you can implement that for sure.
Yeah, that's cool.
One other thing that a lot of our brides do is they embed because all of our pictures go to an online gallery. So if you have a website, you can put your online gallery on there. So all the pictures will be feeding live into that, and people can see what all the other guests are doing.
Yeah, that's fun. I was going to ask that question. I was like, be able to see other people's photos.
Videos, yeah, so that's definitely in there. And then on top of all that, we usually send out, or we have a best practices guide that we send out to all our clients. So it's very clear how you can take advantage of your photo booth and maximize it. You know, like people put the link on your Instagram, you know, like there's different things like that. Put the link on your wedding website and make sure that you're encouraging people to use it. So there's different tips and tricks that we've built into our virtual booth guide.
Awesome. That's super helpful. And I think there's a lot of things that people wouldn't realize, like, you know, or think about. I know one thing when I was like playing with one is like, oh, it's a lot better when you take it with your phone.
Yes.
Than when you take it with, like, if you were, you know, using your computer camera or what have you.
Yeah, and then you'd have to go like this with your laptop.
Yeah, it's a little like grandma, right? And grandpa trying to take a photo. No offense to grandma or grandpa. But
funny enough, we've had a lot of grandmas and grandpas use the virtual booth with no problems.
I know.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, that's important, right? Because you have a lot of older folks in particular who obviously won't be there in person. So that's super cool. Okay, so I related to this and also kind of what you guys were talking about before with your different options is, you know, the idea that, you know, obviously there are some couples who would want to try to DIY this. And I love that you have that option where they, you know, you could like essentially sort of rent it to them, right? And they can kind of set it up and handle it all themselves. But if they were if there was someone who was, say, trying to figure out how to do this themselves, is that even possible? And then what's like something they might run into or something they should know when it comes to attempting to do something DIY?
I think it's I mean, anything is possible, especially when it comes to tech, right? I'm sure that there's apps out there that you can download that sort of sets up your own photo booth in an iPad, but then there is also very low tech support. You know, you might not have the right iPad, you might not have the best iPad with the best camera out there. You might have wonky Wi-Fi. I mean, there's like all these different things that you could run into that sometimes we run into, but we already have the experience and you don't have to worry about it. So you can totally do it. I think it's completely doable, but you're going to spend a lot more emotional and mental energy trying to make it all work. And maybe that's not something that you want to do on your wedding day.
Yeah. Like with anything, right? Do you really want to handle anything when it comes to your wedding day? Wouldn't you rather just sort of be able to sit back and enjoy it all and be with everyone, even if being with everyone isn't necessarily in person?
Yeah, and just tech issues, I think, is just more frustrating than just like, maybe you can do your own flowers. You can do that ahead of time, but tech things that happen just right then. And what if like the Wi-Fi just kind of drops off right before your ceremony, and then you as the groom, you can't really fix it, or you as the bride, you know, like you don't have time to do that right then.
Right.
Yeah. It's like we've been troubleshooting it so that you don't have to.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, that's a big bonus, I think, with utilizing a professional in any shape or form, right? When it comes to your wedding, is just the idea that you don't have what you're also getting is that experience, right? That you guys are bringing, and the knowledge behind all the trial and error that comes with trying to do something like this.
And just the graphic design, because I went to school for graphic design, so I design, I do all the design, so you don't have to worry about it, and you don't have to get like a cheesy frame from the internet. You can get something that is customized to your event, you know? So I think that's the one advantage of going with a professional too, versus just downloading an app that has your logo and you have to pay more. Eventually, I think once you factor in all the time you put into it and all the different things that you need, all the equipment, you're going to end up spending more than if you just rented a photo booth from us.
Sure. Which I think is important for people to understand. And I think that's a hard thing sometimes in the beginning when you're like, oh, I'll just DIY it, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just there's more involved sometimes than you imagine. So it's good to know. What would you say if okay, so let's say someone, they're watching and they're like, you know what, I want to DIY it. Is there a tip or something, a recommendation you would make to help make that easier or better or smoother? Given your
Really good lighting.
Yeah. Test or make sure you know your battery life. We don't want it to die in the middle of the event. So lighting, battery, what else?
Yeah, I think this part is a little bit tricky because we use professional apps. So I have to like think about what like a DIY app would be like, you know. But yeah, have really good, I say like good camera quality. Because the last thing you want to do is for it to run fine, but then none of the pictures are in focus. Or some of them are really bright and some of them are really dark, you know, or make sure that it's really easy to use, especially if it's a virtual booth, make sure it's really easy to use for people all around the world on like multiple platforms, multiple devices and all that. Because if they don't know how to use it, they either won't take a picture at all or they'll contact you, PM you, IM you, whatever, direct message you, and ask you a bunch of tech questions. So yeah, really I think like ease of use for a virtual booth is really important.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I think once that gets difficult, then it's just not going to get used, right?
Yeah.
So, and you want people to have fun and play with it. Okay, so for the flip end of that, right? The flip end of the virtual with something more in person, I'm a big proponent of safety. And I think if you're having any sort of in-person event or wedding to whatever degree, it's really important that like safety is at, you know, at the top of your mind. And so the question here is just if a couple is having an in-person event or in-person wedding of some shape or form, what should they expect from their photo booth company in order to make sure everyone's safe?
Well, so speaking in terms of our traditional service, which has an on-site attendant and backdrops and props, we highly recommend going with a company that has a touchless start and sanitation practices like basically written into their protocol. That way they can ensure that there's things that have been discussed internally within the company to stay safe. This also means that they might expect that props are not going to be a thing of events and weddings.
I was going to ask that question.
Yeah. We personally have a UV sanitation wand.
Yeah, it's a one of the UVC wands that you even have to wear special glasses to sanitize it. So we have 2 of those actually, and we can bring one to an event.
Otherwise, another thing to expect is that the attendant might not be as hands-on as they have been traditionally. They might just be controlling it remotely off to the side, handling printing, answering any questions that people need.
Mask with a mask.
With a mask on.
Yeah,
very important.
For us, our team safety is also really important to us. So these are some of the COVID changes that we've done, but touchless start is a big deal. It's very important to us. So nobody needs to touch the booth. We'll put the attendant off to a corner. All our booths can be controlled remotely from anywhere, actually, as long as you have computer access. So some of those things are just really good practices. And I really would recommend that whatever company you go with, even if it's not a photo booth company, they should have their COVID policies on their website. It should be just, and because you really should follow county health rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk to them about it. What are your policies? How are you adhering to your county health rules? Have you looked at this current county's health code?
Yeah.
Because it changes per county, especially in California, and do you have business insurance?
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. That makes all those things make me real happy.
Yeah.
being a very proponent of safety. So I love that. Okay, and then my last real question here is more just, none of us have a crystal ball, obviously, but if you had one, you know, what do you see happening in the future for weddings, for, you know, maybe both during COVID still, like next year, but even maybe after COVID when it comes to photo booths? Like, what do you guys imagine? What are you seeing still being here?
We're laughing about this because we did a blog post newsletter about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, our all-knowing photo booth people, like, this is what we see happening. You start.
We see it going hybrid. My theory is that there is always going to be a demand for in-person events because some people really personally just don't really care about being too careful, and it's fine with that. You know, we're not judging anybody here. Some people are able to afford it, and some people want that in-person high-end experience where everything is safe and meticulously thought out. Some people, no matter what, just cannot be there because they're vulnerable and at risk. So I think moving here on out, all events will basically take the form of a hybrid event where some components are online or virtual and some components are in real life. And that goes for corporate events, for social parties, for weddings. And I think that that's really the best solution and the smartest thing to do. And so having a virtual photo booth is a great solution right now, having our, our touchless start, our pickup photo booths, but these are not products that we see going away. These are an addition to our product lineup, and anything that will fit however the direction will go. I think virtual photo booths will always still be around. I think touchless starts will always be around, plus it's a lot easier sometimes for like conventions to not have an attendant there and you just walk up to it and it just starts by itself, you know? So
yeah.
I think the inclusivity and exclusivity factor is going to be something to consider. But I also think that it opens up the borders a lot more. So like we just did a virtual photo booth for people that live streamed a wedding to their family in Romania. So there could be like more satellite type parties happening as weddings, I mean, as we get better at tech, as a people in general, like there's going to be more and more options for celebrating in so many new formats.
Yeah, events are going to be more intentional. Weddings are already becoming more intentional. And as a vendor, I think it's going to be more and more important to be seamless and work within the team because you're pulling in different skills and different expertise and different solutions, and you're just pulling in the different team members. But I think that there's going to be that craving and that draw for innovative, rich experiences, whether it be virtual or in person.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with you. I think there's a lot of what's happening now that is here to stay, and I do think it provides a lot of opportunity in ways that we perhaps didn't have quite the same way before. And I don't imagine that's going away, right? You can include people in ways that you potentially couldn't in the past, or didn't really think about to the degree that you think about it now. So yeah, I completely and utterly agree. On board. Okay, so final question here, and this is more of a fun one. Is, I just like hearing things because it's fun for me, but is there something you're reading, cooking, watching, doing that you're really enjoying and think is fun that you would recommend to someone else right now?
Oh my gosh, where do we start? Go back, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know our society talks about it, but really, like, bringing meditation into your life has helped me. It's a new thing for me in the past couple of months, and
I'm so proud of you.
I know, she's telling me I need to do it. That's one thing I highly recommend. Now that we have the space to do so, try it out. See if it works for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think just in general, honestly, living your life to the best of your values. And if you can achieve that, whatever you're doing is a form of self-care. Whatever you be doing is fun. Even on the bad days, like even on the bad things that we do, in the end, it's still fun and enjoyable. So for me, I've always been kind of like, don't just do one thing. Kind of like shift your mindset a little bit so that everything that you're doing in your life day to day has something cool about it. And it's a much more enjoyable way to live.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at life too, right? And just be. Yeah.
But boba every day is also a good thing.
I would agree on that too.
I think you had your first boba.
Yeah.
Like we introduced her to boba.
Yes.
Oh, welcome to the world of boba.
I know. And it's crazy because I lived in San Francisco for 8 years and it took me moving up to Sacramento to actually have it.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Okay, favorite boba flavor, go.
Lychee.
Wait, what'd you just say?
Lychee. The lychee.
Lychee.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get matcha, but I don't know if that's allowed. Is that like a real boba flavor?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm an equal opportunity boba person. I'm not a traditionalist necessarily.
What's yours?
So what's funny is I asked the question and I don't really have an answer.
Kind of also depends on your day. Do you want it like super sweet? Do you want it tea? Do you want it not? And then there's like, man, boba is like innovators. Then there's pudding, there's cheese, there's this. That, you know? So
yeah. I do tend to go towards things like lychee, like a kind of, you know, cold lychee green tea kind of idea. But I'm also a fan of like just the straight up oolong milk tea classic.
Taro. Taro's a good one. I like the ones with the basil seeds too, like kumquat basil seed.
Ooh, I've never had that. I don't.
On a virtual boba date.
Yeah, we should next time. Next time. Well, awesome. Thank you, both of you, so much for chatting with me and having a little boba fun, in addition to photo booth fun, obviously. But just thanks for being here, for sharing your knowledge, and hanging out for a little while.
Thank you too. And we got to say it again. You have the best newsletter. So anybody tuning in, you haven't gotten any of Jamie's newsletters, you have to sign up because she really does send out the best newsletters.
Thank you. Oh, I'm like blushing. But thank you. Well, have an awesome rest of your day. Thanks so much again for being here, and I'll see you guys soon, hopefully, with boba date. So that was fun. I had a ton of fun, and I hope you learned a lot too. If you have any questions for myself or Caroline or Natasha, please let us know in a comment below. And if you enjoyed today's video, please like it, give us some thumbs up. You can check out our other videos for even more wedding planning tips, and please hit subscribe so you can get access to all the new ones. And if you're in the Bay Area, come and check out Let's I Do This, our intimate and virtual wedding packages which can help you plan your wedding now, and also include the services and talents of Giggle and Riot. And if you're looking for help through the entire wedding planning process, including having access to a personal wedding advisor, check out Passport to Joy, my online course. You can find all the links below, because you deserve to enjoy your engagement, no matter what your budget is, and even in the middle of a pandemic. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye!